Nothing but awful, terrible, horrible puns, just like it was in the old days, and I would laugh.
And everyone's looking forward to that day.
Yes, you better look forward to that day, because otherwise I won't shut up about it.
Well, I'm right there with you, because I'm among that legion. So, we know that you ended up going off to work on your advanced degree.
Yes.
What exactly did you end up doing for those 2 years when you were not in the book?
Sonic 152 is actually when I left the book. I'd only done half that issue. That's a long story that I'm probably better off not talking about. But anyway, Mike and I mutually agreed to, while I ended up going to art school, you know, I was going to try and do something different. At that point in my life, I was staying in Los Angeles, California, and, excuse me while I get a little bit more comfortable, my foot fell asleep. At that point, I was staying in Los Angeles, California. I'm originally from Birmingham, Alabama, and I went out there to find work. My original undergraduate degree was in animation, and I'd had this big set goal where graduate, go to California, get a job at Cartoon Network, profit.
Nice.
And all that just kind of went out the window. But that's the way life is. I'd left California, and I was still freelancing on Sonic, but I wasn't really happy with the way that a lot of things were going on, and I felt like I could have applied myself a lot better at that point in time. And a little personal note, I grew up an only child, and out of the blue, I suddenly discovered that I had 6 or 7 brothers and sisters that I never even knew about. One of them being my older brother, who lives up here, is a firefighter up in New Jersey. I'd been putting off going to graduate school for a long time because I was just so burnt out after I'd finished my undergrad.
Yep.
And after meeting with my brother, meeting my father for the first time, among a bunch of other things, my older brother and my mom finally convinced me to, you know, go to graduate school and, you know, take some time off, get done what I needed to get done. And I decided to keep pursuing my career in animation to see if I could go somewhere with it. And honestly, it was the best decision I ever made. I really hated leaving Sonic in the period that I did, but again, it was one of the best things that I could have ever done for myself to help me grow. I mean, I look at my old artwork, and I know a lot of people like my artwork, a lot of people hate my artwork because it's so cartoony, it's so very different from what everything else is. But I would not have grown as an artist or even as a person if I had not made that decision to do that. And it really, I can say 100% that it changed my life. I ended up going back to SVA, School of Visual Arts, for animation, and I wound up taking cartooning courses on the side for my thesis, which was a short animation followed by, you know, a comic to supplement it. And I learned so much and applied so much while I was up here, and it just so happens that around March, Mike knew that I was staying up here. I was closer up to Archie. Asked me if I was going to be available in the city after graduation, and I was like, sure. And, you know, one thing led to another, and he offered me a full-time job at Archie, and I wound up going back to Archie, becoming a production artist, where I've been really since March of this year, full-time, and love every minute of it. So that's the way things went. You know, you have these plans, set these plans to do all of this stuff, and life kind of takes you in a different direction. And sometimes you'll fight it and fight it and fight it and fight it, and then when you stop fighting it, all the pieces sort of fall into place. And that's what happened with me.
Yep, and while you were, and was this when you were back, when you were still working on your graduate degree, that you ended up coming back to the book to work on Sonic the Hedgehog 194?
Yes, actually. It was really odd. When I started doing freelance, I had not graduated for my undergrad degree yet. There was still a few months before that happened. And then when I was offered the full-time job as a production artist, I had not finished my thesis yet. So both times when I'd started, I was running ragged trying to finish my thesis or trying to finish my final projects and whatnot. And as anybody can attest, it was the best analogy that a friend of mine told me was that I wasn't necessarily burning the candle at both ends, but taking that wick out of both ends of the candle, trying to stick it back into the wax and relighting it.
And then, of course, there's the other issue you ended up doing very recently, the issue between Sturge and his father.
Yes.
And, well, not his father, Sonic's father's duel. What were your thoughts about penciling that story?
That one, I like that story. I wish I could have, if I could go back and change it, I would probably change a few things about it. That was, I think that was the first one that I'd done since I'd gotten back, right?
It was either that one or the... Yeah, actually, I think that was the first one.
Pretty sure that was the first one. It was interesting because I hadn't touched the characters in so long, and the atmosphere, the feel of the book, just the general feel of everything really was so different from what I was used to that I kind of had to get myself back into the mode to do that. 192 and 194 were done during a period, during my thesis period and whatnot. So there was a lot of things that were going on around that time, but at the same time it was really a case of, you know, trying to get back into the game on that. And I like it enough. If there were some things that I could change, I probably would. But, you know, it was good to be back on Sonic again and doing... There are 4 characters that I've read ever since I was a little kid. Sonic the Hedgehog, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck, and Uncle Scrooge. And to be working on those characters again was, you know, a big lifelong dream for me. All I've ever wanted to do is draw comics or, you know, animation or do something. And for me to be back at that point was interesting. It was fun, and I wouldn't take that back for anything in the world. I love where I'm at right now.
And speaking of where you're at right now, there's been some rumors being buzzed around that you've been scheduled to work on any upcoming issues of Sonic the Hedgehog. Can you either confirm or deny those?
I've actually been kind of on the back burner as a production artist, doing corrections and doing this for the full Archie line. I guess I can say that I just turned in a piece for one of the upcoming issues. I won't say what it is because it hasn't been, the solicits haven't been come out, but I'll probably be doing the occasional frontispiece here and there. I'm actually working on another side project with Archie. Won't say what it is, because it's a little secret project. If you've been paying attention to the con, you might be able to figure out what it is. I've been working along with that with Ian and another Archie regular. I probably won't do any full issues of Sonic unless Paul or Ian ask me. I'd love to, but you know, I look at it, that's Tracy's baby. He has put, Tracy, Stephen Butler, Ian, and Paul have put so much work into fixing that book and to just doing 310% on it. I almost wouldn't feel right, you know, doing a whole lot of stuff, but I still want to be involved, you know? And in that way, working at Archie and doing a little bit of things here and there, I really am. And I'm happy with that right now. If it's just little things here on the side, I'm cool with that. If it's the occasional story I'm asked to do, then I'm cool with that. It's up to Paul or Ian's discretion. But you know, I enjoy being at my desk every month and seeing the stuff that comes in from Tracy, from Ben, from Steven, having the opportunity to do corrections on those, having the opportunity to do corrections on the main line, having the opportunity to just see the process firsthand and take part in it. And it's a part of comics that a lot of people don't really see, but at the same time, it's just as vital and integral as the rest of everything that goes along with it. And like I said, I wouldn't change that for the world. The opportunity comes up, then heck yeah, of course, I'd love to do that. Like I said, I've got the frontispiece that's coming up in just a few issues, actually. And there are probably many more to come along. There might be the occasional story or two that also come along. But I'm fine where I am right now, and I'm extremely happy with it. And I want to work with a team that wants to do good material and wants to do consistently good material. And, you know, not only making people laugh, but entertaining, making them happy, and keeping you coming back month after month. And that's what I'm doing now. I'm cool with that.
Nice. And now, relating back to Bubble King Comics, your avatar that you have on there, one where Mickey Mouse is kicking Pete's butt, or something like that?
Yeah.
What exactly is that supposed to be from, or?
I'm a huge fan of all of the old school Mickey Mouse comics. If you're familiar with the Disney comics, there are two different sides to Mickey Mouse, sort of. There's the old school stuff that was done by Floyd Gottfredson, who wrote the newspaper strips. His work, if you're not familiar with it, is amazing. Most people know who Carl Barks is. He's the creator of Uncle Scrooge, Duckburg, pretty much everything associated with Donald Duck that isn't Donald and the Nephews. Floyd Gottfredson pretty much pioneered Mickey Mouse's universe, and he went unknown. He started working in the 20s, went unknown almost up until the 80s, because he did newspaper serialized stuff only. And I had the pleasure of getting an old Disney comic book in my formative years and reading that. It was a Mickey Mouse and Sky Island comic back when they were still doing the pie-eyed Mickey.
Nice.
One of the best things I've ever read. To this day, they just don't make stories like that anymore. And it stuck with me. That image of Mickey kicking Pete's butt is actually from a 1940 or 50 story called Editor in Grief.
Nice.
Where it's one of the rare stories where Mickey, Donald, and Goofy are all in the same thing, and they're running an old war newspaper back when they're still doing the war bonds and that kind of thing. Great story where Pete's a gangster, basically tries to overrun the city, and Mickey's the only thing speaking out against it.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love it. That's my whole. I love it.
And speaking of Mickey Mouse, now, correct me if I'm wrong, but did you not do a cover for a Mickey Mouse comic?
I actually did 2 covers for Boom, and I don't remember the issue numbers. It was Walt Disney's Comics and Stories, I want to say 706 and 707. I might be wrong on those issues. The story was actually, one of the things that I do for Disney, that I've done for Disney, I've actually been with them since the days that they were at Gemstone. And they didn't really have the big budget to do a lot of artwork and whatnot. So my writing partner, a guy named David Gerstein, works for them, and he was my editor at the time over there, and basically had me doing dialogue and translation work. So basically we get a story that was, good example, I'm working on a DuckTales story right now.
Nice. That
was done in Brazil, translated to Italian, then translated to Dutch. Boom bought the story, and David got it, gave it to me, and it was like, do something with it.
Make it awesome.
It's one of those things where it's been translated so many times that when you put it back into trying to translate it again, it just turns out to be gobbledygook. So I was working with that to try and do that, and I got the opportunity